Hey, scrappy people, Tracy Reed here today, coming at you with a hybrid process video in the truest sense of the word. Today I'm going to be using a template by Cindy Schneider. It has these adorable flip-flops here, and I'm going to be using two collections by Digital Scrapbook Ingredients. Mainly I'm going to be using Tropical Vibes, but this paper is from a collection called This is Paradise, and then I'm going to be bringing in some flowers from the Tropicana collection by Studio Flurg. So I am making a mixing and matching layout for this page. I'm going to be following the template pretty closely, but doing it in paper form, so of course things are going to be a little bit different. Not too bad though. So I've got 3 photos here to start working with, and let's get started. So since this page is already designed, it's basically a reassembling journey at this point. So I am pulling out all of the paper pieces that I have cut out. Now I have cut out all of these pieces, including the paper strips, by exporting all of my layers from Photoshop to Silhouette, and I have a video linked in the description box below with a tutorial on how I do that. So I won't be covering that in this video, but you can see I am just reassembling this layout from the template itself. I did add some faux sand to that paper, the paper I'm using as a background. It was one of the embellishments in the collection, and I thought it would be fun as just a textural piece for that element, or for that background. Speaking of textural pieces, I also added some distressing to some of these paper pieces, and I'm going to be, a lot of these paper pieces, so the difference between digital scrapbooking, well, there's lots of differences, but one of the main design principle differences between digital scrapbooking, which this template was designed for digital scrapbookers, and paper scrapbooking is that there are tons and tons of what I like to think of as nearly invisible layers. So a lot of these paper pieces, you just see the very edge of them in this template and on this layout. So I am going to be bringing them out a little bit farther than was on the templates, just so that I can justify that I printed them, basically. But a lot of this stuff is just basically added visual weight that you don't necessarily see as an individual embellishment when the page, or an individual paper when the page is all done. Those 2 floral banner pieces in the template themselves were actually like fully across the paper, but I just only printed a little bit because I knew they'd only be sticking out so far. That saves me ink and paper by not printing the entire what would end up being like a 10-inch paper strip that you only see like 3/4 of an inch of. This one and the circle are probably the biggest paper pieces that I printed besides the background, just because I knew that this was the base for the center of the layout. And even though a lot of that side, or almost all of the sides of that blue, gets covered up, I didn't know exactly where and how far, so I just printed the whole thing. So these 2 flip-flop pieces, on the template, you have the option to add like stripes, so 2 different papers. Instead, I just used this ombre paper, and in a tropical state of mind, that piece is actually the text off of one of the journaling cards from the collection that I just selected the white text for, and just added it, or selected it, the white text, and then removed the background card, so it was just the white text, and then added it to that that flip-flop piece instead of what was on the original template, which was another photo embedded in the flip-flop, like there's going to be on the top flip-flop. So don't be afraid to change things up and edit your product and the templates to fit what you wanted. I didn't have a 4th photo for this page. Well, I could have added a 4th photo, but it would have been repetitive. I already felt like the 2 of their backs were sort of repetitive, even though the smaller photo is them way out in the water and farther away. I just felt like if I added a 4th photo to this page, it would have just been superfluous. So instead I added some word art. This orange paper was actually like an entire paper mat, but again, I just printed it in strips to save myself some printer ink. I'm going to start popping things up, mainly the flip-flops on foam tape to give this page some depth, which of course is going to complicate all of the layers needed for for all of the embellishing for this page, which is fine. Lots of foam tape was used in the making of this video. All right, so this is going to go right on the flip-flop here, and then the flip-flop, how many times can I say flip-flop in one video? The flip-flop strap is going to go right over it. And I love the way that this works because it actually frames the photo in such a way that it brings your eyes right to those disappearing surfers on the page or on the photo. I love that. Cute. And then when I put the other flip-flop together, the same thing happens with the strap and the word art. I'm going to pop up just the bottom of this tag because it's going to go over the flip-flop at the top, so I only need to put foam tape at the bottom. I love all of the layers in digital scrapbooking. It's just, I think because the nature of digital scrapbooking, where you're not really using up your product, they just add so much more to their pages, and it's super fun to replicate that style in paper scrapbooking because it just feels a little bit freeing to not worry about, oh, I only have, 4 enamel dots, so I can only use 4 enamel dots. No, you have an infinite supply of digital products, so you can do whatever you want. All right, so now I'm going to pop up this flip-flop, and then I'm going to add the title, and we'll get to the embellishing. So everything thus far has been by, the template is by Cindy Schneider at Sweet Shop Designs. The kit I'm using is mainly, or is all digital scrapbook ingredients, but mainly one kit, I think it's called Tropical Vibes. And now when I start adding in the florals, these are all from Studio Flurgs. These alphabets are from digital scrapbook ingredients as well. But the florals are from Studio Flurgs, and mainly I chose to print those florals that you can see over there in the left corner instead of the ones from the digital scrapbooking ingredients kit because they're very sticker-like, and I prefer less realistic flowers and things like that when I am hybrid scrapbooking. I always feel like I don't mind a more realistic flower, and I will use them. But I always feel like the ones that look more illustrated work for my style better. So you can see they're definitely very illustrated. I used a few that were the more realistic ones, but they were also realistic in such a way that they look like paper flowers rather than like I'm sticking an actual hibiscus on my page. So I prefer that style. So I decided to just pull in some Flurgs ones because they are adorable. I will link all of the products that I used in the description box below so that you can find them and see what I'm talking about. But the colors, I find that the colors for tropical collections tend to be pretty consistent no matter the designer. So the colors really matched pretty well between all of the tropical collections that I've downloaded for my Oahu trip. So that was very convenient. I, of course, had to include a surfboard, and the edge of that needs to be popped up on foam tape. But first I need to put this leaf in here. Now, I should have done this before I stuck everything down, but I didn't, so I'm just going to trim off the bottom of that leaf and kind of stick it up underneath here. That leaf is very, very fragile, that one that just looks like it wants to fall off. So I'm going to be very, very careful so that it doesn't, and I'm going to make sure that it's supported by the flip-flop backing so that it doesn't, hang off the edge too much. And then it will be supported because it's squished in between here too. Just make sure everything is going under nice. There we go. All right, there. Support, stickiness, good enough. We've got lots and lots of depth and dimension on this page. So now it's just a matter of adding all of these embellishments in. So pretty. Gotta support the rest of this pair of sunglasses. But of course I put liquid glue on it, so now the foam tape doesn't want to stick. Think before you stick. Good vibes. I love that these florals are just big, clustery stickers. Look at how easily and quickly that filled up the bottom of that flip-flop. I'm going to add in some of the more realistic, that's a starfish, and then I have another seashell as well that I will add in. I'm going to let the glue dry a little bit before I try and add in some foam tape, so I'll do that towards the end of my clustering. But the goal here is just to make lots and lots of beautiful floral clusters and really frame out this page. And, you know, I'm not going to be a minimalist on this page. I'm definitely being a maximalist. We are going for the gold. But because of those floral clusters that I printed out as stickers, well, actually they're stickers in Studio Flair's collection, but because they're all printed out as one piece, it actually looks like I did more work than I did, which is always good. I'm just going to cut a couple of leaves off of the rest of that leaf thing, palm leaf that I massacred earlier, just because there's supposed to be a couple of leaves sticking out here. And so I'm going to just cut and paste a couple of leaves. You'll never know. Nobody's going to know. Got a couple more flowers to add in here and leaves. This one's going to go directly over my photo, so we can add glue here. And I have one more of those sticker clusters as well that it's going to go up under here. Cute, cute, cute. I love the leaves. They're so fun. This one especially. I love these squiggly leaves. Super adorable. There's the last floral cluster. I just decided to go with the liquid glue at this point, just because I can stick it down and squish it around and still move it and not have to worry too much about it being stuck where it's going while I'm trying to shove it under this flip-flop. Actually going to take the rest of, or the right hand side of this and stick it underneath the photo so that it doesn't stick underneath that monstera leaf or over it. Then I need to put this flower back and one more monstera leaf. Then I decided once I had all of these printed embellishments down that I would add a couple of realistic in real life things like enamel dots and a ribbon through that tag. Last leaf. Oh goodness. Just forget it. We're just going to stick it right between the foam tape and the flip-flop. No biggie. So cute. Look at how adorable this is. The thing about Cindy Schneider's templates is that they do come as PNG files, like individual files for each layer. She's been doing that since the beginning. So if you don't have Photoshop and you still want to use a template like this, you can just take the PNG files, like say for the flip-flop shapes, and drag them into your silhouette or your Cricut and use them as cutting files, which is really handy dandy. I of course used mine in Photoshop, and I basically built this layout in Photoshop and then printed and cut it in multiple layers. But if you wanted to use like those flip-flops like as a cut file, that is another option for you. All right, we're adding in the foam tape here, finishing touches. Now I can add in the enamel dots, my massive stash of basically all Cocoa Daisy enamel dots. I liked this one because it had the purple that you could just see peeking out underneath that blue leaf at the top here where I'm putting these enamel dots now. I'm creating my clusters of 3, but I'm also going to scatter some throughout the page just randomly too. Just little dots of color. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is add in a ribbon. Decided to go with this lime green because I thought it matched pretty well and was nice and bright and vibrant. And then I will just create a bow, and yeah, that will be it for this page. I love hybrid scrapbooking. It's the best of both worlds in my opinion. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Tracy M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. Again, there are links to all of the products that I used in the description box below if you want to try your hand at hybrid scrapbooking. And I will see you next time. All right. Thank you.